Well, I found with Prison to Praise, Melly Crothers, the book, that the spiritual life does indeed take many tremendous leaps forward once you start to get into the miraculous. And the story of Jesus gives you a strong feeling for such. Jesus is synonymous with the miraculous, you see, and not just the magical, but the fantastically beneficial. So, of course, he heals the blind and raises the dead and tells you the future, and you think, oh well, yes, that's just it's story time. It's just the overkill. It's the the magicians in the stories and so on. But it's not that. It's that as you think of God more and more, you start to feel his presence. It's just a sort of feeling, that an assurance of his being, his presence. And I don't mean in the early stages it's continuous, but it's every now and again outstanding when, the early believer tends to be praying and asking for things. It's a shopping list sort of relationship. It's materialistic, heal granny and get me the job and find me the house and so on. And after a while, of course, what they ask for, they realize so often he gives, they get. And because they're thinking in terms of God, they start to wonder in their heart, wow, I think that was a miracle, don't you? Wasn't that marvellous? And they feel encouraged, to say the least. Miraculous tends to be, even the physical miraculous, tends to be of great impact in the short run, but not necessarily in the long, because, of course, everything vanishes into the past here, not just the bad and your mistakes, It's not just that your sins get washed into the oblivion of the past and cloaked with historicity in the end and vanish underneath the weight of the story told. You start by thanking God for the little things that you do see that are good. You start to see more and more. You start to really notice some rather bigger things, really. That, what an amazing synchronicity, I think Eckhart Tolle used to say, synchronicities. And it's more than synchronicity in the end. You feel it's answered to prayer. I don't ask for I don't ask now. Don't get me wrong, if I'm really faced with an urgent situation, I might well ask. Because, of course, any situation in the end starts to get my mind going and relating it to God. But in general, that day you will ask me nothing. Why? Because you had the assurance of his power and his love in not just your life but all lives. They haven't got it, but you have. They're not seeing God in their life, but you can see God in their life. You can point out the amazing to them and say, and they'll say, oh, well, yes, I was glad that happened. That was good, that wasn't it? Yeah. But there's no dynamism to refer it to a relationship with God that's not built, not developed. So you develop it, you train. How do you train? Well, you train in what I think is one of the best ways is in thankfulness. Every time I get a recording that I just feel that says it. Wow, where did that come from? I get a lift. Or I rehear my recordings. And I might be slightly flat in that I don't think that's a good recording. Is it good enough to publish and so on? And I listen to it and go, oh yeah, I forgot that was in it, yes. Gosh, yes. No, I'll definitely publish it. You start to get this assurance as you see God in your life. You could say, oh, it's imaginary, Marshall. Yes, but your life is the consequence of what you're thinking, your imagination. If you hate someone, build on it, and he becomes monstrous, and he's demonic, and he's insane, and when finally he blows his brains out, you say, well, honestly, he deserved it, didn't he? And you coldly accept it as justice, even. Your imagination, your thinking has made you into a monster of unlove and a dearth of compassion for people that you've come to know, or you think you know, but it's because in fact you've ascribed to them a being that is what you now see them to be. And of course you deal with them accordingly, according to your ethics and values. And an onlooker thinks you're satanic, but you don't feel that. You feel you're patriotic, say, fighting for your country. Well, yes, we did lie and we cheated and we shot him down and we killed his family and we bombed him to hell. But he had it coming to him, didn't he? What else were we to do? And you pragmatically move into being a monster on wheels, Well, enough of reflecting on that, but don't belittle the fact that we are what we think. We are what we think and what we value, what our mind's being driven by. That is what we are. Make it good. Choose you this day whom you will serve. Whatsoever's good and lovely. Fill your being with it. Don't just write down 3 things at the end of the day in your diary that you're thankful for. Do it whenever you have a spare moment. What shall I do now? Or I could just make a record of how the day is going. Thank you, God, for a nice meal. meeting so and so, doing such and such, the weather or circumstances, or feeling better, feeling comfortable, so and so going nice. Do you see? Open your eyes to the goodness of God, and it will transform you. It will indeed fill you with gratitude and hope and peace of mind and a relationship with Him. It's simplicity itself. That's why good company is so good. Good company constantly feeds in the good, by definition, not the bad. Sure, it's the good from your perspective. According to your values, it's the choice of good company as you see it. And you live that way according to those values. And if you're conscious of God in the things that you do and the things that happen to you, then any problems you refer to God, and you start to get guidance, ideas, understanding of what is wrong in your makeup of values, who you are. And just seeing it changes it. Obvious things like, realizing that the cow is so upset when you take her calf from her and she bellows half the night. You get that in the Waikato if you're out in farming country at that time of year. And she's so desperately unhappy. And your heart is touched, and you think, why doesn't it touch the hearts of these people that keep cattle in this way, that treat them as cattle? What's the matter with this planet? You can't believe it, that there's so much inhumanity going on, man to man, and man to creatures and animals is unbelievably inhumane. And when it comes to something he's designated as pest, like insects, and he's just utterly barbaric in what he's willing to do to rid himself of such. Now, I don't mean that you have to sit there and put up with pests, but I worry greatly about the incredible insensitivity of pragmatism. This world is inconveniently placed to love your enemies, especially when they're doing their best to kill you or eat your livelihood, or steal the life of your loved ones. I understand that. I'm not daft. I've lived here a long time. But there's so much unkindness you are able to avoid. So much unkilling, not killing, avoidance of harm, ways of doing things that are more humane. Humane means really willing and able to do that which is least hurtful, causes the least suffering, encourages goodness of life where it can, is kind. we should be called mankind, meaning that they are kind. And in many ways, don't get me wrong, we are, compared to the raw basics of the jungle. We are especially able to be kind to our loved ones and near ones. It's very simple. We just need to extend where we can. I don't need to leave the worm on the side of the road drying out and dying. I can lift him onto a damp earthy area under the foliage where he's protected, perhaps, hopefully. I can't do it on a massive scale. If there's millions of them out there this morning because the weather is such that it causes them to be all over the road or something, well, I just have to accept I can't do much. Yeah, because I have needs, and I don't want your love and care of others to become a tremendous burden to you. But do extend it in every direction that brings you joy and fulfillment, that you feel you can help here and be a blessing. And then, like the Good Samaritan, you just pass on your way. You don't expect any reward from it. You're just so glad you rescued that creature from the drain, or who was caught in difficulty, a web. Oh, you say, what about the spider? He needs his food. Yeah, well, fair enough. But I had compassion on this one. I just wanted to rescue him and did. Become the lovely person you want to be. Practice it here. And you can practice it in a world where there's stark contrasts going on and an incredible lack of the good that could be done if only people wanted to do it. And it's a sort of increasingly bewildering mystery to one that they don't want to do it when they could, and they don't seem to be motivated like that at all. It's because the loveliness of God hasn't come into their consciousness. It's not transforming them from within. And when it does, joy, fulfillment, and life just fills your being. Your reward is now. Kingdom of heaven is at hand. It's now. Have I talked on too much, haven't I? It's 18 minutes. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.